Hello everyone, welcome back to another video on Metronic. In this video, due to popular demand, we'll be discussing on Metronic's Angular package. Well, to get right into it, you first need to just purchase and download Metronic. Once you have it, just unzip it and it should look something like this. You'll be greeted with our design, doc, and theme folders as you come to know. Design, we have our design files, which is our PSD sketch. We also have included Figma. Our documentation, we'll get into this soon. And our theme, where we have Angular, Default, and React. In this video, we'll be talking about the Angular version. So before we get into deep into Angular, let's look into our documentation, because our documentation will have all you need to know about Angular. So open a docs folder and go to docs. And in here, you can just go to Angular and click overview. So this page here, or this documentation here, will give you a brief overview on what Angular is and Metronic's Angular file structure. So if you have a look, our file structure goes along with, you start with the theme, and then you have the Angular folder. And then in the Angular folder, we have our 10 demos. And each demo is independent from one another, similar with our default demo or default package. And if you wish to use like demo 1 or demo 2 by itself, you just use that specific folder. So for a quick look into our Angular package, let's go to theme and Angular. As you can see, we have all of our 10 demos, and in here we have our Angular files. So within each demo, we have this file structure right here. We have a dist folder once you've built it. If we have a look at our demo right now, we don't have a dist folder because we haven't built anything yet. We just unpacked it. We have our E2E, which is our end-to-end testing using Protractor. Our node modules, which is our node modules. And then we have our source folder, which is where the main app sits in. So in the source, as mentioned, you have the app, and then within the app, you have the core, and then you have the view. So if you go to source, you go to app, you have a core and a view folders. And in there, we have our base folders or base files, our config, our authorization module, and so on. So if you look here, go to our core, our base, we have our CRUD, our layout, config, we have all of our configs, which is either page, menu, layout config. And also we have this, which is a language or internationalization. We'll get into that later in this video as well. Auth for authorization, e-commerce, and reducers, and of course our core module. In our views, we have our three main folders, which is the pages, partials, and theme. Pages is where we have all our main pages within our Angular package, and partials is all the small little partials that Metronic uses. And then we have our main theme. So what does all these photos mean, or what do they do? Everything will be listed down here in the documentation. Like for example, pages is where all our demo pages are compiled to. Partials is all the shared components which can be used within pages and in different pages within the Angular demo. And theme is basically the layout of that specific demo. Moving on, we will have to look at a few important things. Number one will be possibly our app component, which is the main template. And then we have the app routing module, which is your base routing for the app. So if you want to set your menus to go to a certain page, or you want to create a new page and you need to link to it, this folder here is what controls it. So if you look in our folder, you go to app, and the app routing module is right here. And then after that, we have our assets, which is just our assets, or media files, or our, not just media files, all of our main app assets like our JS, our media, our plugins, our SaaS, everything's basically organized in here. And then we have our environments, which we have two environments. We'll get into the two environments later in this video, which will differentiate between the development environment and the production. And also we'll discuss on how you can deploy your project to a production server. And the rest will be like your index, your main polyfills and whatnot. These are all the base, you can say, like index files or main files that Angular uses. So the first thing we need to do here, if you go into our documentation, first thing we need to do here to install and get it up and running is we first need to install Angular if you haven't already. However, if you have installed Angular and you want to update Angular, it's always recommended for you to uninstall and then reinstall. So since I do have Angular installed in my machine, I'm going to go ahead and uninstall it and then reinstall it just to show you guys. To do that, we go to our demo 1. Just go to the root of the Angular demo and type in cmd. If you're Mac, you just can open up the terminal from this folder, and then we need to uninstall our Angular. Well, technically you don't have to do this in this specific path, but since we're here, you might as well do it here so that when we start doing the npm install, you don't really need to switch paths. Alright, so my Angular is removed, and now let's reinstall it. Alright, we've done installing Angular. So the next thing we need to do is we need to run npm install to basically install all of our files. So let's go ahead and do that. Alright, we have done installing all of our Node stuff. The next thing we need to do, we just need to serve it. Now, when you type in ng-serve, what it does, it just launches the server. And what you need to do after that is you need to go to your localhost at the port 4200. If you don't want to do that, like make an extra click, all you can do is just add the --open or a -o at the end of ng-serve, and then what it does is once it's done building the server, it will just launch basically launch Metronic Angular. So let's go ahead and do that. And go ng-serve, and then go --open. And we just let it run, and we see Metronic pop up in a second. And that's pretty much it for running or installing and running Metronic Angular. So you can see Metronic is now working. You can just go to any one of this, click on it, and everything just basically works. Okay. So the next thing we need to do or discuss here is we discuss on how we can actually customize certain things. The first thing to customize, or the first thing to look at for customization maybe is if you have a website that requires a right to left layout, all you need to do is just do this. You do a npm run rcl after you do the npm install. So what that does is it just runs a webpack command or script command, and it just generates an RTL version of Metronic's Angular package. So let's go ahead and do that. But as you can see, we don't have the command line anymore because we have turned on the server, basically. So what you do is we just have to load up a second command prompt and run that. Maybe before we do that, let's have a look at what files we have. So in Angular, we have demo, and then we have all node modules and stuff like that. we still don't have our dist folder yet. So maybe before we run our npm RTL, let's build our Angular. So how do we build an Angular? It's actually listed or displayed within the overview, like here. To generate the dist folder, all you need to do is to run the command ng-build, and it will build it. So let's do that. Let's open up our second command prompt and also open up our folder and just put it aside so you can see the folder get built. And we type in ng-build. So our dist is complete. If you look into our dist, this is basically the built output, for Angular. And when you want to deploy or send or upload your files to your production server or your staging or whatever, this is what you upload. So we have our some SVGs or assets like our JS and whatever, and then these are the main files, or the main app files rather. So now let's go ahead and run the RTL package. So let's do this. Let's open this up and do a npm run RTL. Alright, our RTL is done. The next thing we need to do is we need to go back into our documentation and have a look at what we need to swap around. We first need to swap the style.angular.rtl.css. The default one would not be .rtl, it would just be angular.css. We just need to swap that to the RTL version. So let's go ahead and do that. So let's go to our editor. We go to our source assets, and then we go to CSS, and then we see our RTL right here. And we need to take this and replace our current CSS, which is this one. So first we need to open our config file, which is, let's have a look at our documentation again. It is basically at the root of our demo called angular.json. And what we need to do is we need to change the source path to the RTL CSS path. So let's go ahead and do that. That's where's angular.json right here. And then we need to change the source path, which is not there, here. This one right here. We need to change this to our RTL version. So let's just keep this open, and yeah, we need to change it to this. And how we do that is it'll be within the assets, not source. It'll be CSS style angular.rtl.css. Save that. Next, we need to change the direction within the HTML tag. So we need to go to the index.html file and then replace, or basically add all this in. So let's go ahead and go to our index, which is within our demo source. Let's minimize that. And index, where are you? Index status. And if you can see, there is no RTL yet. So let's go and grab this. And save that. So let's try. Let's go ahead and try to do a auto refresh. And as you can see, everything is now right to left. So to change it back, we just have to undo that. When we remove the RTL direction, go back to our angular.json file, and we put our original source file back. Save that. And if you look at our the localhost, everything's back to left to right. So basically, this is how you do how you change directions for Metronic's Angular. Alright, so next thing we're going to discuss is styling. Now, how do we style Angular for Metronic? Well, the base idea behind this is we have a global Sass variables, or we have a global Sass file or config file that contains global variables like our font family, state colors, general global style attributes that you may need to tweak and configure to suit your project. And Metronic also uses Angular material, which reference link will be right here, basically as a primary library for most of our UI components. And the integration is basically done using Metronic's global Sass config, which is located here. So let's go ahead and have a look at that. You go to source, assets. Let's minimize this and go to Sass and config. So if you're familiar with Metronic's default package, this actually will look familiar to you. You have state colors, base colors, social colors, and maybe font size, families, and so on. All you have to do is just change this, update this to whatever you want, and then just run the ngserve, and that's it. If you want to modify or customize the Angular material, it's actually located here. If you have a look, yeah, it's in source, assets, Sass global integration, and all that. So let's have a look in assets, Sass global integration frameworks, and then Angular, and then material. Yep, it's open already, and this one. So what you can do here is, again, you can just play around this, switch up and configure or tweak it to however you want, and then save it, and it will automatically update itself. So that's pretty much it for basically styling. Next thing we may want to discuss is the Angular skeleton and how to remove demo pages from your Angular project. Granted that Metronic is a Angular, Metronic is basically a template or a demo template where it has like thousands or a lot of hundreds of different features and functions within itself. But all these features may or may not be used within your project, and to not bloat your project with all these unnecessary demo styles or widgets or whatnot, it's always best for you guys to actually remove it from your project to optimize it further. So to do that, it's actually also pretty simple. If you're familiar with Angular, this will be second nature to you as well. Basically, all demo pages within the Angular package of Metronic is located in this folder. So let's go ahead and have a look. Let's minimize this. Minimize the assets. It's in the source, and then within the app, and then we go to view pages. So everything is basically in here. One thing to note is the auth and dashboard folders. It's best to leave it for now. Auth is basically for authentication, the authentication module like login and register, and dashboard is our dashboard basically. But it can be removed or modified in the future. But to get this demo running, it's best that we leave this here for now. So now if you want to remove unnecessary components for your projects, you just go to pages, model.ts, and just remove whatever you don't need. Like for example, we actually added a a sample page component. This page component is actually blank. So if you have a look at my page here, which is this this page components right here. If you look in the HTML or even the TS file, it does nothing. There's nothing in it. This is, like I said, is a sample, so that if you want to add new pages, you can just copy and paste the code from here, the specs, and then the SAS file. Or the SAS file is blank, but the structure is basically like this. You have the HTML, you have this SAS, you have the spec TS, and of course the components TS. TS is basically TypeScript. All right, so if you want to do a bare minimum page modules that's required for Metronic to work, we actually have a sample right here. You basically need the core, you need the common module, you need the parsers module, and again the pages core module, and then you need to just include it or declare it, and that's it. So if you look into our pages module, we have like a form, HTTP client, mail, e-commerce, and whatnot. You don't need all that if you just want the bare minimum for Angular to work. You can just delete all that. And also, once you have done deleting all that, you of course need to update your routing. Remember what I mentioned that earlier, that we have to look into our app routing module to basically control our app routing. All you need to do is just remove certain things that you've already removed from the pages module. So for example, let's say you want to remove the e-commerce module. All you have to do is delete that, and then this gets you need to delete that as well. And then you go to this page and then find for the e-commerce, which is this one here, and delete that. So by doing this, we will not have any e-commerce from within our demo anymore. Where was our e-commerce? Is here. Okay, we need to remove more. We need to remove it from our menu as well. So let's go ahead and find where's our menu. So our menu will be located in our core, and then we go to config, and then we go to menu, and we see our menu right here. And what we need to do is we just do a quick search for commerce. Yep. And what we need to do is we just remove it from our menu, and it will reload by itself. All right, we removed it from the header menu. We need to remove it from the aside menu, which is this one. Let's look at it here. There we go. That's the aside menu. Take that out. Save that. Because our Angular demo, we have two menus. We have an aside menu and we have a top menu right here. So as you can see, it's gone. So let's put it back. Just undo that. Or rather, to show you guys how you can add things into your menu is okay, let's keep it this. You just have to add another object or something. So you just do that, put a comma, and then you need to name put a title, which is say something like say page or something. And then where do you put it? Let's put in the roots, which is true. Oops. And then you can, whether you want a bullet or an icon, and of course if you have submenus, just add an array of submenus. But let's go ahead and add our e-commerce back in. Save that. And what we're going to do is I want to keep the e-commerce part from the top bar still missing for now, which is here under applications. So let's go ahead and check this out. Okay, so e-commerce is back. Under applications, we still don't have our e-commerce. So if we undo that and save it, and have it reload. In the applications, as you can see, our e-commerce is now back. But of course, our e-commerce page probably would not work because we didn't add the page back into the routing module. So let's put it back, and to do that, all you have to do is just like copy this and put it in, or like you just need to put the path of it, like what's the name of the file, which is e-commerce, and then this is the path, or rather the e-commerce module, which is in the view. So if you go to view, you go to, let's close this, you go to pages, and then you go to apps, and then go to e-commerce, and then you have our e-commerce stuff here. So this is the name of the page or the module itself, and then this is the path to it, and then this is the module. So if you click on this, that's the component, and this is the module. So we have the routes, and we have the imports, and this is the class name. So basically the class that's being exported. So if you go to app routing, this is basically what's being declared. So now that we can save this, we need to also go back to our page modules to re-import it. So let's just go ahead and do that, save that, and have it refresh itself. Go to e-commerce, go to customers, and there we have an e-commerce page. So basically that is how you add and remove pages. Alright, moving on to next, internationalization. As mentioned earlier, that we have a way to add more languages within our Metronic Angular package. To do that, we just need to add or register the language within these three files, which is the language selector, and then the i18n, and the app component.ts, and they are all within here. So we go to our, minimize this again. So you go to our app or source, and then app, and then we go to views, and we go to, where is our partials? In layout and top bar, language selector, and language selector component CS. So in here, as you can see, we have English, Mandarin, Spanish, Japanese, German, and French. So if you want to add a new language, all you have to do is just copy this, paste it here, replace the abbreviation for your language, and then the name of the language, and a flag if you have. Once you've done that, save that, and then you need to go to let's go to source, app, core, and config, where you and i18n, and then you need to add the TS file here. Basically, it's sort of like defining what, you know, certain things are. Like for example, a submit button is called this instead of submit, or forgot password button is now this instead of forgot password. So this will usually be you usually are able to download it online, or if you want, you can actually go to this these two links, or follow these two links to see certain examples on how you can extend the internationalization for Angular within Metronic. And then we will be talking about the mock backend. Because Metronic is, of course, a template, we do not have like a real life production server. And because we don't have that, Metronic as a demo, we need to simulate certain things. And when I say simulate, we are basically simulate like basically we need like you know how most Angular projects will, or Angular apps will need to have some HTTP or some HTTP client calls or requests that our demo just do not have any backend to connect to. And how we work around this is we just simulate a backend with dummy data. So as you can see, we have two things. First, we have an environment.ts file, as mentioned earlier, and we have an index file for services, basically. So if you have a look in here, okay, let's close this. We don't need that anymore. Close that. And we can go to our app source, and then we have our environments. We have both a production and you can say a development. Go to this, and then what you need to do here is you need to basically disable this. Change this to false, so that once your real backend is ready, you will not be using the mock backend. And next, you need to go to let's see, app core, and then e-commerce, and then where's our services here, and index. So in here we have a whole bunch of like fake stuff, and what we need to do is we need to switch this around. So once you have your backend is ready, all you need to do is you just need to comment the fake ones out and uncomment the real ones in, and that's pretty much it. All you do is just save it, and you will see your backend code being integrated with Metronic's Angular. Next, creating a page. I think we have already covered that by showing you how you can delete and add a page. But just to run through it quickly, we have, like I said, a demo page right here. And before you can actually create the page or add the page to the page modules or the app routing module, before you can do any of that, you first need to create like the scaffolding of the page. Now, to do that, you just need to run this command line. So we're not going to use my page because my page is already created. So let's create a new page called, say, new page. And what that does, it generates the scaffolding for a new page. So as you can see within the app, and then we minimize the core and remove views, you see new page gets generated. Is it done? Yep, actually it's done. So you see the new page gets generated. All the 4 files as mentioned earlier. You have our HTML, our Sass, our spec.ts, and our component.ts. So everything is already built. All you need to do is link it up. To link it up, as you saw earlier, we just need to put it in our pages module just by importing it. Import. Oh wait, it's already there. Look at that. It's already there. So what we need to do is we need to go to our app routing. Let's see, is it routed? Nope. So we just need to add it in. Copy that, put it in. The path will be, say, new page. And for load children, you actually don't need that because there's actually no children in this new page. But what we need to do is we need to type in component, like that, and put in the component page registration. So how do we get that? We need, if you look into our new page component, it's this thing right here. So copy that and paste it there. And of course, we also need to import the page component. So import new page component from views pages new page and new page components, and that's it. Then, as you remember, we need to add into the menu. Let's go back to our menu, and let's see. Where's our demo? Where do we want to put it? Let's put it like within the custom tab, right after wizards, basically at the very bottom. So at the bottom, this is the wizards. So just let's copy all this. Do that, and it's called new page, and let's just use the same one for now, and just save that. And as you can see, our new page is right here. Click on it, and nothing happens. Now, why is nothing happening? So if you look in the documentation again, so we've done this. We've built our scaffolding, and then we've added our page routing, and then we added the menu, which is like this one here, and we did not add a breadcrumb. So let's go ahead and do that, which is basically within the page config.ts. Minimize this and page config. All right. So let's see here, after dashboard here, let's put in new page, and page title says new page, description can be just my new page, and that's it. So let's go back to our demo and click on this. Alright, so as you can see, we forgot to add our page attribute, so let's go ahead and do that. It's called just /new page. That's what it's called, and have it refresh, and then click on it, and new page works. So that's pretty much it for creating new pages. And last but not least for this tutorial is deployment. Now, I'm not going to demonstrate how you can deploy Metronic within this video, simply because we do not have any backend. But I can run through with you on roughly how it works. First, we need to build a production version. To do that, you just need to do ng-build and --prod within the demo folder. And what that does is it just creates a production version of your Angular app. And then what you need to do is, if you're deploying your production of your app, Angular app, into a subfolder within your server or production server, you need to include this route here and also this route here if you want to basically do a shortcut. If you just do the --prod without this additional command, you then of course need to add this in, and where do you add this is within the index. So let's go and have a look at our index. Nope, not that index. This index. So you see, base href is actually the root, but if you're deploying your project or your app into a subfolder within your server, then you need to define it here. However, there's a shortcut where you can just add the base href in the ng-build command. And then of course we have the AOT and JIT compilation. If you want a JIT way of compiling, then all you need to do is just add this command, AOT equals false, and you can of course merge both commands into one line. So if you want to have a subfolder, or let's start again. You want to have a production build on a subfolder within your production server, and you also want it to be a just-in-time compiled with JIT. Then what you do is you do ng-build --prod prod --base href and whatever, and then --aot equals false. Then there is also some potential issues with Angular builds, and one of the most common one will be the JavaScript has, JavaScript heap is out of memory. And to fix that, you just need to run this command within your command prompt for Windows, and if you're using Linux or Macs, just do that. Alright, so that's it for the Metronic Angular video. I hope you found this video informative, and if you did, please give us a like and also subscribe to our YouTube channel so that the next time we release more videos, you'll get an update. Also, please follow us on our social media accounts like our Twitter or Facebook. Links will be in the description below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.